All right. So I hope everyone has had an amazing week and that good things along with challenges have happened, and that you've come out on the winning end of it. So just keep going. Just keep going. So today we're going to continue with the good morning, everybody who's just joined. We are going to continue with the burnout / overwhelmed material that I really want everyone to kind of see themselves in the different aspects of the way, whatever that state of being overwhelmed, whether it's sort of in the middle or whether it's true burnout, has created for you, and own it, accept it, and let's see if we can drill down and figure out a better way to deal with it than just to have it hit you like a tsunami. We're going to do a tiny review because I don't know about you, but 3 weeks ago, I'm not sure I'd be able to remember exactly what the 3 characteristics for burnout are. Every overwhelmed feeling isn't burnout, all right? But you want to see it coming so that you can head it off at the pass. So, first criteria, emotional exhaustion. Anybody in that state?
Yeah.
The fatigue that comes from caring too much for too long. Now, it can be that you are in a caring profession, or you just have a caring nature, or really had nothing to do with caring about other people. It has to do with caring about a situation that has overwhelmed you and brought you to your knees. All right, so the second criteria, you started to depersonalize. And what that means is that you are in a state of depletion of empathy, caring, and compassion, either for that external situation or the person you're concerned about, people you're concerned about, or you're applying that to yourself. You are no longer engaging in even adequate self-care to keep yourself in the game. Could I ask everyone please to just mute their sound, their audio, so that the recording doesn't pick up the background noise? You just have to delete that one, Braden. All right? Okay. So, third criteria. You've been in this state long enough that you have started to develop a decreased sense of accomplishment. You feel like you're walking through mud up to your hips. All right? You're still moving forward. You're still making the effort, but you have this sense of unconquerable usefulness. You just don't have the feedback that is equivalent to the effort you're having to make, and it feels futile, all right? Or that's been going on long enough that you can't feel anything, all right? You can't feel anything, and you are living with a sense of nothing you do makes any difference. This thing, this situation, or this thing you're living with is bigger than you are, and it's winning, all right? And you can't see your way out of it. So, in fact, I want to remind you of a key element, and that is that it is almost never. Now, if you're being run down by a lion, okay, that's an exemption to this, right? But it is almost never the situation itself that is the thing that hurts you. Almost never. What it is, and this is why I want you to really, really get a hold on this material, is it is the meaning you are applying to it. All right? And in a state of depletion and semi-defeat, mental, physical, emotional exhaustion, spiritual exhaustion, and I don't use that term in a religious sense, but your spirit is in tatters, right? Not only does it take you more effort to make an effort, but you start to give up. You start to see the overwhelmed rather than the possibilities. And that may sound very Pollyannish. It isn't. Remember this, no matter what the situation, there is always something you can do. Does it solve the whole problem? Often it doesn't. Often it's a tiny chunk of it. All right. But when you're feeling this sense, even if it's become sort of normal, no, never, ever, ever go to fear. Go to fact. All right? What are the facts about the situation that feels unconquerable and overwhelming and is defeating you? What are the facts about that? And among those facts are going to be possibilities. They might be 10% solutions, but I have to tell you, I feel so passionately about this material because at my age, I have faced situations, plenty of them. And what I learned, and I offer it to you for whatever use you can make of it. This is not the only truth, but it is a piece perhaps of something that you're not factoring in. Generally, the best solutions when you are really in a depleted state are made up of 10% solutions. And they're like building blocks. And it may only solve a little piece of the problem, but then that gives you a little more effort, a little more hope, a little more energy, a more sense of competence, and you can then add the next 10%. How do you figure out the 10%? You move forward in the direction that, according to your life experience, and you've got plenty of it, all right, to offer you, looks like the right answer, looks like the way out.
Oh, you're kidding. I'm sorry I didn't see
I
that.
didn't see it either.
Could I ask people to,
Did you get her sweatshirt out of the water yet?
No, I
Okay.
just put a little more water in. It looks like it's all.
I really scraped at it with
Yeah.
just cold.
there we go. All right. I've just learned how to mute somebody. Progress counts. All right. All right. So those are the 3 criteria. So if you remember last week, and if you don't, go back to the podcast, listen to it. If it isn't up, it'll be up very soon. In the owl and the cheese maze, you know, it's a maze, and who moves forward further, faster, better, more effectively. All right. We thrive when, my goodness, I'm going to be doing this all day. Hold on, guys. We're probably going to run over a little because I've got to take time away, and then Braden has to do a delete. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to take a second, people, and see who is not muted and mute them. All right. Okay. All right. I think I'll put a notice on the next notice I send out. Thanks very much. All right. We thrive when we have a positive goal to move forward to, even if it's only the best of a bad choice. All right. If it is the best of even bad choices, not choices you want, that positive goal will move you further, faster. The analogy I use in Conquer the Clutter is the carrot and the stick. The carrot will almost, or the stick, will almost always get you moving faster in a huge rush of adrenaline. Watch out for that, because when that adrenaline burns off, you're going to be lower than you were when you started. So don't make it any pattern or habit you have to wait till the last minute, because what you're really doing is digging yourself in deeper. So the carrot usually gets you moving faster because there's some threat, there's some really important to you negative that's looming over you. But it will only keep you moving forward until the perceived threat isn't so significant that you're in a fear response, you're in a reactive response. As soon as it kind of dissipates a little, even if it's still there, it's not as important. The meaning you give it, you're in charge, you're in control, even though you don't realize it. Okay, the more meaning you give that negative, the more it will stay in place, but the more you're going to be working on adrenaline to the point of exhaustion. The carrot, on the other hand, which is like the cheese in the owl cheese maze research that we talked about last week, the carrot or the cheese, that's the positive. It hangs out in front of you, and it's something that you want to move forward to. You're attracted. It meets your needs. It is a positive. It gives you energy. It gives you hope. All right? That will keep you moving forward far longer, far more effectively than the stick. So be good to yourself. Ask yourself 3 questions. This cheese, this carrot, whichever you want to call it, all right, has to meet your needs. Has to meet your needs. If you haven't given any thought to what your needs are, do it now. What do I need? Where is it? And how do I get enough of it to make a difference? Even enough of a difference, all right? Doesn't solve the whole thing. That's okay. A partial solution is better than no solution at all. And a partial solution, 1 or 2 things finished, will always be better than 100 things planned. All right? So we thrive when we have a positive goal to move forward to. Not just a negative state we're trying to move away from. So in clutter or hoarding situations, the equivalent would be the desire to move away from being cluttered, the desire to reduce piles. But that negative motivation, while a good goal, I want to move away from something, is a negative, all right? It isn't specific enough. That thing, that motivation, whether it's cheese, whether it's the carrot, whether it's whatever it is, according to your need, it needs to be specific. You need to be able to picture it, smell it, taste it, feel it, and imagine what having it is going to do for you. It needs to be rich. So sit down and fill in the blanks about that. So it is not just a thought, it's a real experience. All right? What do you need? What's your goal in positive terms? Have a vision. And so, another thing that can be very powerful for people, I want to be very specific and practical here, is if you go through magazines or you go through pictures or you whatever, it could even be electronically on your screen on the internet, right? You find pictures that Demonstrate the vision you have. All right. Save them. Save them on your desktop. Make them a wallpaper on your desktop. Cut them out and do a vision board. If you're less electronic and you're more hands-on. All right. Make a vision board of what you want. And please be good to yourself when you do it. All right. Don't make it about perfection. Make it about every day of your life, no matter what's going on. This environment is not something that becomes a tyranny to you to maintain. On your worst day, you still have to maintain it or lose it. It's an environment that supports you, that is kind to you, that gives you what you want and need. All right, you feel like it's your haven. So ask yourself then in practical terms, all right, if that is my vision, what do I need? All right, what tools do you need as well to turn your environment into spaces that support you? And in that supporting you, to allow you to do what you want to do in the different activities of daily living areas in your living environment. So if it's cook in the kitchen, if it's sleep in the bed without having yourself kind of cocooned in there with books and your laptop and the dog and the cat and the dog food and the cat food, because it's really become like this little island. You're asking that space, and be careful about this. If you ask a space to do too much multitasking, it can't meet any of those needs. It can't meet any of those needs. Okay? You can only ask so much of any space. As soon as you start making it the hub, command central, all right? And it's a space like your bed or your bedroom where you need to go back to rest and recuperate. That's where all your healing does. If you can't sleep and get into REM sleep, then your mind isn't able to send you the creative ideas that run deep inside you. You already have the answers to your problems. My goal isn't to give you, my skill is not to give you the answer. My skill is to help you drill down to find your own answers. But you can't do that if you can't sleep. The removal of sleep, adequate sleep, when you get into REM sleep, you heal. All the little widgets in your brain go, no, not that, do, and they all fall into place. And you wake up and you go, I feel better. And then an idea later on in the day occurs to you. It didn't happen probably in that moment later on in the day. It happened back up there while you were trying to move the dog, the cat, the dog food. Oh, and the light on your computer went on and woke you up. And that's where you missed it if it's not happening. Inadequate sleep, the deprivation of sleep is considered a war crime. It's considered cruel and unusual punishment. It is even mentioned in the Geneva Convention for torture in war. All right? So don't torture yourself. Eat properly, get enough sleep and good quality sleep where you can REM. Get out and change your mind. Don't stay in the environment if it's noxious and not supportive. All right? Get out. Socialize. I know COVID makes that more difficult. Zoom. You can at least see people's faces. You can at least see their smiles. You already have Zoom. It's free for you. All right, talk to people, hear their voice. Socially distance in whatever the restrictions are for you, but get out and make the effort. We're not supposed to be isolated. All right? So that brings us back to COVID. Sorry, I've got a frog in my throat this morning. We have just come through a battle. All right. We have just come through a battle and we're not out of it yet. All right. We've had to remain in unnatural states of deprivation and isolation for extended periods of time. All right. Way, way, way beyond, sorry, even an introvert's need. So if we hate where we are, our first instinct is often to run aimlessly away from where we are. All right. Sometimes that can lead us to other realities that aren't much better than where we started. You will always head in the right direction, I promise you. If you just do 3 things. It's getting to be boring, isn't it, hearing me say it? What do you need? Not what does the other guy tell you need? What does that shopping channel tell you need? What does Marketplace, Amazon Marketplace, or the TV or the whatever tell you need? You don't need that. You don't need that. All right? And don't accept any substitutes for what you need. Go for gold. You may only achieve it in 10% solutions at a time, but don't settle. What do you need? Where is it? And how do you get enough of it to make a difference? If you are always true to yourself, you will be headed in the right direction. It might be by baby steps, but who said it was going to be easy, right? Try to imagine it, try to picture it as something positive. Get it, if you're visual, make an image. If you're auditory, talk to yourself about it. Enrich the experience by talking to yourself about it. Fill in the colors, hear your own voice. Not saying talk out loud to yourself. It's a great way to get consensus, all right? All parties on board, no disagreements. All right, if you're more kinesthetic, find a way to add that touch and feel and sense component to it. You can do it. Make it real in according to your representational system, the way you process the world. We are either visual, auditory, kinesthetic. If you believe in NLP, auditory digital. Auditory digital are really kinesthetic folks who have to go to their head a lot. All right. They have to run it by their brain. It has to make sense. It has to make sense. They're cautious, and generally because they've had some pretty noxious experiences. All right. And they don't want to repeat them. All right. So the cheese or the carrot of burnout isn't just feeling less overwhelmed, people. That's a baby step. Don't stay there. Okay? Because if you stay there, nothing stays the same. It either gets better by incremental steps or it gets worse, but it does not stay the same. All right? So that sense of being overwhelmed will repeat exhaustion. Okay. Don't settle for no longer worrying whether you're doing enough. If you can make yourself do 15 minutes a day, all right, every day, set the alarm. You're at a jail when the alarm goes off. The rest of the day belongs to you. And in the rest of the day, I want you finding the joy that is present. This morning, I had the loveliest thing happen. I'm sitting having a cup of coffee. I'm wondering about how I'm going to struggle through it, but I wouldn't miss the podcast with this frog in my throat. All right. I sound like a trained seal here. And I look out the kitchen window to the bird feeder, and guess who's there? The cardinal is there. And any day the cardinal shows up, my experience has been, it's going to be a good day. That's my joy today. And I could feel it. It sounds silly. What's your joy? What's your measure of joy? Don't pick the other guys, pick your own. Okay. And once you've done that 15 minutes, and I would suggest you do it first. Get the thing you don't want to do over with first. And no one in their right mind wakes up wanting to do a job that they don't want to do. Okay. There is serious medication for that. That's a joke. But it's not, that just doesn't exist. Get the 15 minutes out of the way, and then I want you looking for that joy. I want you to look about finding fun, because fun creates that happy kind of excited electrical bubble in you. And play, never stop playing. Playing is finding the child in you, all right? And children have hope. Children have trust. And you need to have hope and trust in yourself first and foremost, no matter what the piles look like. 15 minutes a day religiously. And then when that alarm goes off, it's joy, fun, and play, so long as it's not shopping. These, okay? Really manage the temptation for somebody else or somebody else's agenda to say, here we are, this is what you want, this is what you need, look how nice it is. Wouldn't you like to have, no. Joy, fun, and play cost nothing. They are in your environment, they're in your environment naturally, they are free of charge. You never see joy, fun, and play, the real joy, fun, and play on your credit card statement or in your bank account. You never see it there. So don't look for it there. Okay? And don't wonder if you're doing that 15 minutes a day religiously. And yes, getting started is always the hardest part. I live this because if I get to talk to you about it, I have to walk the talk. All right? And when I wake up in the morning, I don't want to do it either. But we get it out of the way. All right? That's something I give myself. I get this burden out of the way. All right? Join me in it. It works. The real cheese, the real thing that's going to work for you is supporting yourself by taking personal responsibility for getting your needs met, to grow and feel strong enough to cope with all the other little incidentals that aren't going to feel that great, that are also going to be part of your day and your week. And mine, that's life. All right? Anything else the world throws at you, if you work as hard as you possibly can, all right, with determination to do your 15 minutes a day, and then joy, fun, and play, that's where you get your energy. That's where you get your optimism. That's where you get your positive self-care. Okay, if you're not looking for joy, fun, and play after you do the work, okay, I don't know about you and Saturday mornings, but we always had to do our jobs before we got to go out to play. All right. I don't know about you. And funny, life doesn't change. We still have to do our jobs. So that joy, fun, and play is what's going to help you handle whatever the world is going to throw at you. All right. Okay. The second thing, when our brains feel lethargic, all right, when we lose confidence in ourselves because maybe yesterday was a battle, or we didn't find as many energizing things and positive things as we could have used, remind yourself, you are a growing, learning, developing human being. And when you keep that hope alive in yourself, because it's true, this is not a fantasy you're telling yourself, all right? This is not a story. This is not a pep talk. This This is in you, right? You have skills, you have abilities. And when you determine something that you want to grow about, it might be playing a guitar, could be anything. You remind yourself that you are a growing, learning, developing human being. You keep that part of your brain, your sense of competence. People can only accomplish what they need to if they have hope and they have the tools that they need, or they go get the tools. And the third thing is they believe in themselves. They believe in themselves because every day they remind themselves that they have competencies, that they get a little better at something. They know a little more about something. That is like jet fuel to your sense of competence and confidence. And maybe you only learned a new stitch in knitting, or maybe you only learned a new word in the dictionary, or maybe you only overcame that recipe that's been defeating you, or maybe you set the goal. Needs to be meaningful for you. Maybe, like some people I know, they sang an aria in a way that was better than it had been before. They hit the note, whatever. Hit your note, people. Find your song and hit your note. And do a little bit of it every day. That's where you're going to get that sense of competence. Yes, I might have completely fouled up this, but I am not a foul up, because I remind myself I'm still growing, learning, and developing. I'm alive. So right now, if you've got a pen or a pencil handy, I want you to do this for yourself. Today, what would be your best belief in what you want to know better, or do better, or be better at? And for heaven's sakes, don't make it decluttering. That's work, okay? That's work. What is it? Write it down. Now I want you to take that, and I want you to tape that to your bathroom mirror. And I want that to be the first thing you see every day. And it is not a reminder. Put a little box beside it and tick it every day when you've done it. All right? It's a gift to yourself. Okay, validate yourself. If you don't validate yourself, you deplete yourself. Remind yourself that despite the clutter, despite the piles, all right, you are alive and moving forward. That's what that does for you. You also, remember the teeter-totter metaphor that I said? So the work that none of us really probably wants to do, but the 15 minutes is that fulcrum point in the middle. And on either side, all right, is learning, growing, developing human being, and joy, fun, and play. And you want to keep yourself in balance. That's why you don't deprive yourself of joy, fun, and play. Finding it free of charge in your day. Maybe different things every day. Learning, growing, developing human being, indulging yourself. You don't deprive yourself of those things just because there's more clutter. You don't, all right? But you do put the thing you least want to do, and I'm betting that is not joy, fun, and play, okay? Or growing, learning, developing human being. I'm betting it's the 15 minutes, all right? You put that first. You do it first. Okay. The third thing is carrying out the mundane tasks that support the activities of daily living wherever your life occurs. That's what that 15 minutes a day is about. It supports the activities that you want and need to do, to enjoy, that are part of your daily life. It reduces the chaos. It reduces the need to wear blinders because you just can't look at it again. It reduces that because when you've got blinders on, people, you are missing the good things too. Blinders don't just block out the bad things, the things that you don't want to look at. Take off the blinders. You can deal with whatever there is. All right. So the operational word there is supports you. That 15 minutes a day is an activity that lifts you up. It supports you. Do you want to do it? Chances are not. Does it feel great when you're doing it? Probably not. But there's nothing like it when you turn around and look at it once that 15 minutes is done. Remember that feeling when you were in grade school and it was the last day of school and it was summer vacation? If they could replicate that and sell it, I swear it would beat Amazon. It would beat anything alive. Okay? Anything. That's what doing that 15 minutes a day reliably does. It's like summer vacation. You're walking down the steps out of the school thinking, free at last, free at last. It also supports us in not settling for a minimum standard quality of life and safety. If you don't do it, you're settling for a minimum standard. You're worth more than that. The other thing it does is it helps to relieve the next huge burden on our body and our mind, and that is stress. So let's spend the next 20 minutes, maybe a little longer, talking about differentiating between our stress and our stressors. Stressors are what activate the stress response in your body. They are outside of you, or they're outside of you even if they're a thought, all right? They can be anything you see, hear, smell, touch, taste, or imagine that is negative to you. Negative equates to, in some way, could do you harm. It doesn't have to be you're being chased down by a bear, okay? It can feel like that, but no, it can be anything you see, you hear, you smell, you touch, you taste, or you imagine. There are external stressors, and some of those we all live with. The effects and stresses from work, from money, having not enough or having way too much, and it getting us into trouble. Cultural norms and expectations that don't meet with our needs as individuals. All right, and if we don't abide by them, we're afraid of being sanctioned. We're afraid of being ostracized. We are certainly afraid of being judged. All right. Experiences of discrimination related to age, right? Gender, race, religion, your height, how big you are, how small you are, ethnicity, economic status. The list goes on and on. For those people who need some way to look down on other people because it's the only way they feel good about themselves, the list is endless. And we all fit in one of them. Okay, none of us is exempt. All right. And then there are the less tangible internal stressors. these are the things we do to ourselves. Write these down, people. Okay, I'm going to go really slow. Self-criticism. Body image. Identity. Who we are, what we are, how much we count, how much we don't count, what we're worth to ourselves. Memories. What the future looks like. Now I want you to take that list and I want you to stick it, tape it beside the other message. What you want to learn more about, what you want to do better on your bathroom mirror. And these are the no-nos. As soon as you find yourself doing one of these, even if you tell yourself it's the truth, even if in some way it is the truth. None of us scores 100% on all of these. All right? Even if it is, it isn't the whole truth. It isn't even the major truth. It can't be, or you wouldn't still be standing. It can't be. So stop it. There's a difference in wanting more out of life. That's very different from not feeling good enough. All of these are ways we cut our legs out from under us by finding ourselves inadequate. And none of them are true enough to give any effort to, any thought to. Okay. In different ways, okay, and to different degrees, all of the work, money, family, self-criticism, identity, all those two lists may be interpreted by our body and our mind as potential threats. Certainly the internal stressors are, all right, for sure they are, because they're the ways we're judging ourselves, they're the ways we're hurting ourselves. We are chasing ourselves down in a negative way. So for sure, our body and our mind are going to interpret those as threats. And if you don't believe that, ask yourself the next time you do one of those things inadvertently to yourself, self-criticism, judge your body image, even if you think you're doing really well, you're pretty hot, okay? There's a latent pressure there, and I better stay this way or I'm going to be like the people I don't approve of. So I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. I'm only good enough if. That's also body image, and it's not positive. Identity, memories. Memories are in the past. Unless there is something about a memory that is actively playing out right now, and it's more of a experience that you can draw on to avoid replicating something negative that happened in the past. That's different. All right. Memories are in the past. Leave them there. They have no place now. They have no place to claim 1 minute of the present. And the future, if you do the pieces that you need to now, and you do them as well as you can possibly maintain them, the future will take care of itself, and it will lead you in the direction you want to go. Stress is a neurological and a physiological shift that happens in your body when you encounter a threat. So the reason I want you to remember that it's physiological and neurological is because you know the jaws of a crocodile, the power those jaws are. When you combine a shift that threatens you or you perceive it as a threat, and it has physiological and neurological strength, it is similar to being caught in the jaws of a crocodile. It is intense power, intense power, and you're doing it to yourself. Why? Because chances are there's probably a 99% probability that whatever the threat is, at least a good part of it has to do with the meaning you're giving it. And so this stress response happened to help us survive evolutionarily. All right? It's an evolutionary adaptive response, and it's supposed to help us to cope. It doesn't help us to cope when we stay stuck in it. All right? It's like you're on high alert all the time. When your brain notices the threat, that's when it's supposed to activate the stress response. But the stress response is not supposed to stay on high. It's not even supposed to stay on low, because those two components, the physiological and the neurological, those two parts are sending hormones to your brain. Escape, 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 escape. Well, when you burn out the escape light, you can't see your way out of the dark. And you're burning yourself out. You can't get out of it if you burn yourself out. You can't see the exit sign. Why? Because you blew the bulb, staying on stress, stress, stress. What do you need to do? I know this sounds hokey, but one of the best things you can do, two of the best things you can do actually. One is physical activity, any level of physical activity. Get out in the fresh air. All right, put your mask on. Even if you don't wear a mask, put a mask on. We want you to live, and we want you to come back. All right. Get out in the fresh air, put your mask on, and just walk. All right, and meditate. There are some really, really easy meditation apps. One of the ones that I really like and I really use is Monique Rhodes' 10-Minute Mind, because like yourself, I probably have 10 minutes to meditate in my day. This is not going to be a major activity on my part. It's not in my nature right now. But I'm giving myself a chance to center. Okay? So the chemicals, we can talk about the hormones and the chemicals, epinephrine, glucose corticosteroids. I wouldn't know one if I met it. Endorphins, they're nice. The point is your attention is alert and vigilant, focusing on only the short term, only the right here and now thinking. So when you're in that stress response, you can't think longer term. You can't think strategically. You can't think of what the road or the path for you is out of this situation that's giving you the stress. And when you do that, you keep the threat imminent. You keep it right in front of you. You really have to let's find it together, the answer to turning off or turning down the stress response. Because when you're flooded with it, all that happens is you're dealing with nothing but stress. But you're not dealing with the stressor itself. Our stress response is supposed to be fitted to the threatening environment. All right? And that threat can only last a short time. So if we're still seeing it and feeling it, we're hanging on to it a long time after it's already departed. All right? You've got to do something to let your mind and your body know it's okay. The stress is over. It's okay. That deep breath. All right? The stress response cycle needs to complete itself. And just eliminating the stressor isn't enough to do that. Those hormones are still being produced and they still are flooding your brain. So now what? The threat's gone, but again, your body's still full of stress hormones and you're still in action mode, burning yourself out. How many people find themselves doing this to some degree on a regular basis? Okay. Be careful what you determine a threat. Be careful what you determine to be a threat. Remember, it's the meaning you give it. One of the things when I see something I don't like, in order to manage my stress response, to keep, still have, we're machines. We have a little, it's catching it sooner is my pitch to you, is I say to myself, whoa, what does this remind me of? And what is the worst that could happen? And what do I need to know more? What do I need to know more about to handle this? And then I go find the facts. Because I'm darned if I'm spending my life running away from a bear that is up a tree, picking blueberries, but I'm still running from the bear. No. What's the worst that could happen? What does this remind me of? Because the reason I ask myself that is, I've lived a long time and I may have experience, I may have competencies, I may have some ideas already about how to handle this because it reminds me of something. Generally, I think we give meaning to things that represent unfinished business from our past. All right? Because our body, our mind, our spirit is trying to finish it, trying to complete that learning, trying to complete and have a better outcome. So when I say to myself, what does this remind me of? Then I look at it and I say, okay, what part of that breaks down into two parts in my mind. One part would be, what feels familiar? Is that me? Am I applying that meaning to it? Because wouldn't it be some coincidence that this many negative experiences are all about that? Maybe that's something I'm bringing to the table. Maybe that's more about me and I need to do some work on that. Or what is new? So what is new tells me, I don't have enough resources to deal with this. I'm just going to keep it there. Okay, I'm not buying in. I'm not going to be threatened. I'm going to go inside myself and I'm going to say, there's always an answer, at least one good answer.
I know, Pete.
What?
Good.
What do I need to know more about? What do I need to know better? Or what information do I need? What resources do I need? What help do I need? Every battle is not a lone fight. All right? And sometimes when you're talking it through with a friend out loud, you hear yourself and you go, what? Oh, yeah, that is exactly what it is. And you get clarity. You've got resources, use them. Don't stay in the stress response because your body gets stuck. Your body can get stuck. Your mind can get stuck in the middle of the stress response by just telling, and you can interrupt that in some way by saying, deep breathing, calm down. This isn't helping. This isn't helping. Okay? And the rest of your body is also suffering a stress response. So let's have a look at the chat box and let's see. We've got some. I was gonna say we've got no chats, really. It says good morning to everyone. Okay, is there a phone number I can call in? I don't have much data. I don't know. I don't know whether Zoom operates. Does anybody know the answer to that? Does Zoom operate on a phone number? Does it? Oh, there's a new message. Maybe somebody does know. Okay, no, not so far. I don't know. You know what? Until you solve the data issue, what you can do is attend as many as you can for as long as you can, and then go to the library on hoarding.ca and view them there if your data ran out and you couldn't stay for every part of every podcast. Okay. You can go when you're trying to imagine what you want your vision to look like. Home and Garden Holiday Decor and Ideas magazine is beautiful. It is, but here's one of the downsides with Home and Garden magazines, okay, or anything like it. They're beautiful, and it's nice to see the way other people live. However, nobody ever puts the price tag on the bottom of the image, all right, to make sure that it's realistic. I used to watch This Old House, and Saturday morning I'd get 2 cups of hot coffee and I'd pull the covers up and I'd turn it on and I'd watch them remake this house. Oh my gosh, I was addicted to that show. And then we did a renovation, and because it seemed like a good idea. And then I found out the truth about back away from anything that gives you an image and doesn't tell you the price tag. Not just even the price tag in what can go wrong, and are you resourced enough? Like, is this the time in your life when you can handle that stress? All right. So enjoy the pictures. I wouldn't try to replicate the image. I feel the same way about cardinals. Yeah, there's just something about them. What's the question again? So the question, why don't we talk about that on Friday in the group, and then I can find out from you. So I do a hoarding support group with 15 people. We do it on alternate Fridays. So that's what I'm asking Alina. Alina's part of that group, and it's on Zoom. And bring that question there, and then I can figure out which sets of questions, because I've talked about sets of 3 questions, but 3 different topics. So I'm not sure what that is. I'm feeling more hopeful already. And now on to my 5th. It's a gold star. If you like gold stars, good for you. There's no time like the present to move forward. Okay, I see that somebody's called in. The mute for the phone is number 6. Okay. I really appreciate having a number to use for times when I'm not at home. Yes, phone numbers are available for Zoom. I'm going to have to find out about that. And anybody here who is calling in on a phone using a number, could you send me an email to elaine.birchall@hoarding.ca? That's ELAINE.B as in boy, IRCHALL @hoarding.ca, HOARDING, because I'm not aware of that. I went into social work for a reason. And I'm going to be guided by your experience. So you give me the answer to that, and I will pass it along to everyone who wants it. Okay. JP, yes, it does. The number is probably at the bottom. If the email, I attend a lot of Zoom meetings by phone. Oh, good, JP. So you're the person. You let me know exactly how that happens, okay? Step by step, so that I can mention it next week, or I can have it posted on my website. Yeah. And they have stylist, I know, stylist, designer, architects, lighting. Yeah, the lighting is huge. Has anybody ever seen those real estate pictures where you look at the room and you go, wow, that's a really big room. And wow, looks expansive. And then you go and you see the place and it's basically a box. Okay, those are what I call magic pictures. There's some kind of lens. Make sure that the lens is not in your mind, that you're trying to create something bigger than reality, okay? And something that is going to be a tyranny to you to maintain. Make it be exactly what you want and need. It can grow and change like you do, and that it supports your activities of daily living. But however you really want to live in your own environment. Is someone understanding French? Miriam, why would you want to know if somebody's understanding French? Okay. Yeah, there is, and I'm going to make sure that it's ticked. I thought it was, because when most people come in, they are muted. So just thanks for the reminder on that. Thank you for coming. It's great seeing you every week. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Take care. Bye, everybody. Make it a good one.